Issues and Tissue, a contemporary magazine program that engages and discusses issues of development within and outside the state. The program brings to the fore ranging topics like education, politics, agriculture, just name it, while we examine the nitty-gritty of the issue in focus. Join me, BC Akpaida, every Wednesday on African Independent Television, AIT, for an exciting time. Issues and Tissue. If we can think it, we can discuss it.
One of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals is gender equality. According to the UN, 1.1 billion young women still face various levels of inequality. From birth, girls and boys, women and men are expected by society to play certain roles and behave in certain ways based on traditions, religion, and other beliefs. Unfortunately, these behaviors shape the gender norms that create disadvantages for the girl child. The social norms that limit women's opportunities need to be understood and then changed. This change is needed on many levels, and both men and women need to be involved for it to happen. On the program today, we will be discussing the girl child and a level of access to education, career opportunities, freedom in marriage, birth control, and how you can use your voice and your power to bring true equality to future generations of women. Stay with me and enjoy the conversation.
Issues and Tissue. If we can think it, we can discuss it.
I'm here with Grace Osakue, who is the co-founder and chairperson for the Executive Board Girls Power Initiative of Nigeria. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you.
All right. Now, tell us, what does the term girl power mean?
Girl Power, as in the name of Girls Power Initiative, is to identify us as a feminist organization centered around the empowerment of women and girls for national development. So it's an indication of what we do, why we exist, to see that the girls are able to have control and influence and be visible in national development.
Would you say girl power is the same with the idea of feminism?
Of course, feminism is a quest for bringing about gender equality, bringing to an end all forms of discrimination that women suffer, and girl power is a means to that end, because when girls develop their voices, have control, have influence, then they are able to act for themselves, act for others, and bring about that vision of the feminist movement, where the world is an equal place for both sexes, for everyone, irrespective of the gender that we are born with.
Girl Power Initiative, what is it all about?
Girls Power Initiative was founded in 1993 and began programming in 1994 to actualize the vision of a country, Nigeria, that is free of all forms of discrimination, where patriarchy is taken care of, and women become equal partners and are equally visible within the private and public spheres. So Girls Power Initiative is a feminist organization empowering girls for the purpose of women's empowerment, visibility, and a gender equal Nigeria.
Power is such an important issue.
It's very important globally, because God made us male and female. When you look at the population, you are looking at how many men, how many women, or how many males, how many females, and all over the world you have males and females. At this point in time, in most of the world too, we have societies where the women are left behind, are not sufficiently mobilized for development, and it has become a challenge. The world wants to have peace. There can be no peace when there is no development. And there can be no development when half the population is left behind and not involved in the development process as a result of stereotypes that paint them as second-class citizens, paint them as inferior to the males, and nobody can stand on one foot for too long. You go better and faster if your two legs are cooperating. So girls' power at this time in Nigeria is very important, because when the last year was 25 years after Beijing, and Nigeria looked at the indicators, what have we achieved in the last 25 years? The challenges that women faced in 1995 that made it necessary to have a UN conference of women on women, and also to have a UN decade on women. Do they still have those challenges in Nigeria? And we found that some progress has been made. We are not where we were in 1995, but we are very far from where we hope to be. And the major challenge is the issue of gender norms. For as long as within the psyche of both males and females there is the feeling and belief that the woman is different from the man, is unequal to the man, should not be where the man is, we cannot move very far. So at this point in time, it's important that those issues that have become the issues holding back Nigerian development, that have to do with gender discrimination, have to be put on the front burner.
August 26th every year in the United States is usually celebrated as International Equal Women's Day. I think that marks the day where the legislation was made for equal rights for women, especially in the voting process, election, contesting for elections, and voting during election. Now, bring that to Nigeria. What is the idea of equality for women in
August 26th, 1920 was when the 19th Amendment was passed in the US that enabled women to have same voting rights as men. In Nigeria, the equivalent, actually, we cannot really pinpoint one date, because as go with our constitutions, even men did not have voting rights globally in Nigeria initially, until the constitutions started including the rich. If you have property, you have a right to vote. Later, if you pay taxes, you have a right to vote. But importantly, in 1954, women in southern Nigeria got the right to vote in that 1954 constitution, but the northern women did not have this right until the 1979 constitution.
Okay. Now, based on your line of work and the experience you have over the years, how would you describe the level of equality that exists right now between the men and women in Nigeria?
Okay, if I'm to still pursue that angle of voting, you find that today the women are the majority of the voters if you go by the voters register. Women registered, female registered voters are actually more than men. But if you look at the results from elections, you see that women are next to not being visible. Something is wrong. The woman in Nigeria has the right to vote. Unfortunately, her exercise of that right is hinged by patriarchal norms. So, a woman has a right to vote, but she does not have a voice in the home and in the public, so she is going to vote for whoever the males in her life want her to vote for. She conforms. the woman has not been able to come to the recognition that men and women are different but born equal, and that women have something to contribute to this nation, and that they should be anxious about seeing that women are voted for so that our nation should move forward. So there is a lot of voter education necessary. I belong to the League of Women Voters in Nigeria, and our primary task is helping women to come to the realization that your vote is very important, and that women should be given the opportunity. They have something to contribute. So it still takes us back to the issue of gender norms, the current placement of women and girls in Nigeria. We all, men and women, have to work together to see that all the biases, all the discriminations come to an end, so that we have women in leadership positions as well. Nigeria will be a better place.
Now, what are the major problems facing the girl in discovering her power?
Socialization. The girl is still socialized, being brought. When I say socialization, it starts from when, after they are born, when they start asking questions and you are providing answers. Parents still bring up girls differently from the way they bring up boys, putting the issue of gender in the front burner. So the girl is being told, shut up, let your brother speak, even when he's the younger brother. The girl is being told, you've not washed his clothes, even when he's your, whether older or younger brother. She's brought up to lead a second-class life to the boys in her life. So it starts from her home, and from her home it moves on to her marriage and for the rest of her life. So socialization is our first challenge. Parents should stop bringing up boys and girls differently. The girls should be brought up to be able to cope with, to be streetwise, just like the boys. We need political will in the effort to bring about gender equality in Nigeria. You still find this day and time people beating their chest, I'm an African man. What is an African man? When they are telling you that, they are trying to tell you that the woman should have no voice. Is there actually a Nigerian man to start with? Because we are a country of many nationalities. So when you are beating your chest to say you are an Yoruba man, the picture that comes to my mind is a wrapper wearing man. And when you are beating your chest to say you are a Yoruba man, an agbada wearing man comes to my mind. And if we go into details, there are so many differences. So we should stop beating our chest. We should try our best to see that we bring about gender equality within the home, within the schools, within the wider society. Do you know there are still schools where the girl's name is written on the register in red, while the boy's own is written in blue or black? What does that mean? When you can just add F and add M to indicate the sex, or even better still, finish writing one before you write the other, so you don't need to do differences. Look, there are too many spheres where the women are being held behind, and we need to come to a realization as a nation that it doesn't augur well for us. 2030 will still come and go, and we'll still be in the dark ages in Nigeria if we all do not, as individuals, as parents, as policymakers, as people in government, unite in an effort to make boys and girls, men and women of whatever genders they are, because now there are discussions about gender, equal, free of all forms of discrimination.
Issues and tissue. If we can think it, we can discuss it.
Okay, welcome back. We're still discussing with Grace Osakue, who is the co-founder and the chairperson of the executive board for Fair Power
initiative in Nigeria. Madam Osakue, before we went on the short break, you talked about the major problems facing the girl child, on women in general, in realizing her power. Now, what is your organization doing, or how does your organization teach girls about the power of their gender?
Like I mentioned earlier, GPI is a feminist organization, so all we do revolves around giving the girl a voice. And if we do other interventions, it is also to support the girl child, who is at the center of our programming. So we have programs directed at the girl, the major one being a 3-year comprehensive sexuality education program where girls enroll in our centers. We have centers in Edo Delta, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, and in Abuja, FCT Abuja. The girls enroll, both in school and out of school girls, they enroll in our centers, and for 3 years they come for 3-hour lessons once weekly. In Edo and Delta, that's on Saturdays, while in the other centers is on Sundays. So during this 3-year program, they are taken through a curriculum that has components on life management skills, components on gender and human rights, components on society and culture, sexual and reproductive health and rights issues, everything, time management, everything the girl child needs to know for her to have a voice that is not contained in any other curriculum she's going through. What she needs in life that is she's not likely to be able to learn in school is in the GPI comprehensive sexuality education curriculum, so she's able to make decisions, have a vision of where she's going to, have values that will bring that about, as a result of which our girls, in short, if you spend only 6 months in GPI, you would already have started that process of being different, confident, assertive, knowing and having control. And then because we cannot take everybody in the centers, we actually abridged our 3-year curriculum into a 1-year curriculum that we use in our outreach schools where we have GPI clubs. And then beyond this center and outreach, like I said, we do every other thing to enable this girl develop this voice, exercise this voice, grow through adolescence in a healthy manner, become a visible adult.
Okay, now the enrollment for this training, like you mentioned, is it free of charge or
yes,
is it paid for?
All our services are free of charge because if you ask the girls to pay, then they won't be able to come because parents can only afford to pay school fees these days. In short, from inception till now, our services, training services for the girls have always been free, and we even give transport refund when we have funding for those activities. When there is no funding, the parents bear the transport. But when there is funding, we bear the transport. Even when there is no funding, there are girls, for instance, coming here from Isiho in Ugbowo. We have to support the parents and share the transport with them at this point in time, for example, where we do not have funding for our comprehensive sexuality education program.
Okay, now as probably one of the challenges the organization faces, or tell us about some of the challenges.
Our major challenge actually is the perceptions of the general society. We have found that there is need to reach everybody, not just the girl child, and then reach everybody consistently, which is the reason why sometimes we have radio and television programs that do this outreach, because a lot of parents are not comfortable with letting gender stereotypes go. They think culture does not change. Culture is dynamic. Culture is this television you are watching now. Was it there 50 years ago? The answer is no, but you are sitting down watching it comfortably. But when it comes to change something that affects the girls, They only change it when it's negative. So for us, the cultural norms that are negative, oppressive to the girl child, even when we have laws now outlawing such norms, we still find situations where people feel more comfortable trying to continue those norms. Of course, we intervene when we can to dissuade them. That is one. Then two, on the issue of funding, we have funding partners actually for our programs at any point most often. But the comprehensive sexuality education program is actually not popular because it is not a quantitative program. It is qualitative. It's not about churning out girls, many girls. It's about investing in the life of a girl for 3 years, and then so you find that at the end of the 3rd year, you may be graduating 20 girls. And for us, those are that is very wonderful. But the funder wants to see you are graduating 2,000 girls. So the qualitative versus quantitative indicators, a lot of funds demand this time, make it difficult for us to have funding for comprehensive sexuality education. Rather, we are funding for anti-violence programs like human trafficking. We currently are running a rural-based human trafficking, anti-human trafficking program now. We've always had resources to do that, human trafficking. But one of the reasons for human trafficking in Edo State is the issue of gender inequality, the issue of the girl being dispensable. Parents think you can give the girl in order for the boy's life to be better. You don't have resources for comprehensive sexuality education, but when the girl, but you don't want the girl to be trafficked. You see the contradiction. So we don't always put funding on the front burner when it comes to our challenge, because we are also privileged to have trained hundreds of girls who at any point in time are able to volunteer. So it's a program that is able to run itself as a result of that.
Thank you very much for that. Now, quickly, as we begin to wrap up the conversation, what is your advice for the girl or the woman who lacks the idea of the girl power initiative?
For the girl, I would encourage you to speak out. There are many things that go through your mind, many questions you have to ask, but you don't ask them because society doesn't want you to ask. But if you don't ask, you won't know. Ask your parents. It is actually safer to ask your parents or ask the alternatives they provide. They could direct you to a knowledgeable aunt or uncle to provide those answers. But if you don't ask, you won't know. So I encourage girls to practice makes perfect. Develop your voice by asking questions. You have desires. You have an idea of where you want to go to. You have to work on it. And anything that does not cooperate with that place you want to go to, do not be distracted by it. And then parents, that girl did not beg to be born. You begged God to have her. And she was born a girl, not by choice. It wasn't her choice to be born a girl. So she should not be punished for it. We are aware that from pregnancy, when some women discover that the fetus they are carrying is female, they have abortions. We are aware that when they are born, sometimes they are treated differently, breastfed in different manners, made to sit, crawl, different. Boys are prioritized. The boy should not sit too early, he needs his waist. But the girl, you want her to sit early and fast so that you can do other things. Who needs waist more? The man that impregnates a woman, or the woman that carries pregnancy with that same body when she's grown. So you see, discrimination in feeding, everything. The woman suffers discrimination from birth till death. Even in burial ceremonies, there are also discriminations between male corpses, female corpses. Our parents and wider society will appeal. It is a blessing to be born female. make us feel that blessing. All those things that discriminate against us. Join hands with GPI, with government, with other institutions to bring them to an end in your time so that Nigeria can move forward.
Thank you very much, Grace Osakue, for that enlightenment. It's been wonderful having you on the program today.
For the girl out there, what you should take from this conversation is that you are born beautiful, but remember your voice needs to be heard. And I think you should key into this initiative carried out by the Girl Power Nigeria to make sure that your voices are heard and you are able to stand up for yourself in the society. So that's the much we can take on the program today, and we'll be here again same time next week for another edition. This is Issue and Tissue on African Independent Television. I remain your presenter and host, Nosa Usoh. Until we meet again, stay safe and have a wonderful day.
Issues and Tissue, a contemporary magazine program that engages and discusses issues of development within and outside the state. The program brings to the fore ranging topics like education, politics, agriculture, just name it, while we examine the nitty-gritty of the issue in focus. Join me, BC Akpaida, every Wednesday on African Independent Television, AIT, for an exciting time. Issues and Tissue. If we can think it, we can discuss it.